CNBC Africa, first in business worldwide. I'm Bruce Whitfield. You are watching Share Shootout here on CNBC, the most vicious, backbiting, backstabbing, nasty, blood-sucking stock picking show on television. Welcome to the show. I'm Bruce Whitfield, your host, judge, juror, and self-styled executioner. And we ask questions at this time of the show, and it really is important to know whether or not the Jacob Zuma spy tapes are really being used to record the show right now. We're taping over them. Is inflation really at 5.5%? And did the royal family really consider the name Gaz for William and Kate's baby? We'll never know the answers to any of these questions. What we do know is we've got a Russian on a sugar-free diet, the last gold bull left possibly in the world, also on our show tonight, introducing the challenger with 6 appearances, 3 wins and 3 losses. Sasha, I keep a picture of Lenin on my desk as a dartboard. Naryshkine from Vestact, he's up against the fresh meat on the butcher's block. He's only been here once, he's too terrified to come back. Luckily his short-term memory is fading. Chris, I can juggle anything, even a gold share. Hart for investment solutions. Both of our guests have pre-picked 3 shares and they're keeping them very close to their chests. Neither knows what the other holds. At some point during proceedings, they must accept at least one of their competitors' stocks. The longer they leave it, the more likely they are to have to accept something they really don't like. Each has got 30 seconds to argue their stock pick. So let's let the share shootout begin. Do you really have a picture of Lenin on your desk as a dartboard?
No, but that's once again your producer. He's lost
Actually,
his
that was
mind.
mine.
Was that yours?
That was mine. That was
no.
my special touch.
No.
So you're a fan of Lenin then?
Not a fan of Lenin.
John Lennon?
John Lennon,
Okay,
yes.
not Vladimir.
The Beatles. No.
Awesome.
Vladimir.
Your first pick this evening, I need it in 30 seconds, please, as to why you're prepared to overpay for one of the world's most expensive companies. It's nearly a 500 billion rand company. It's 483 billion. We rounded up to 500 billion. It's absolutely huge. It started as a failed dry cleaners, turned into a homemade cigarette company, and ultimately the world's most luxurious luxury brands group. I'm talking about Richemont, of course, in 30 seconds.
I'm glad that you brought that up, Bruce, because you've perpetually said that when I picked the stock, but it just keeps going higher. Why does it keep going higher? Because it's got the earnings underpinned. So you might not be prepared to pay somewhere in the region of 18, 20 multiple, but
23.
23 inside of the current year, it's probably 19. Next year, that's a 15. The year after that, it's a 14. So they've got the earnings to back up that growth. I think you're starting to see green shoots in Europe, and that will put a positive spin on their European sales.
I think we can end the show right now. You said green shoots. You should be eliminated immediately. You should be made
green
to go.
Didn't you see the PMI numbers yesterday, Chris?
We don't call them green shoots. We need to find something else. Green shoots was a 2008 grasping of hope. Anyway, we digress.
And it worked, yeah.
2008, green shoots. He says there are green shoots still appearing. The green shoots need to be watered, clearly. Richemont, multiple of 23 times historical earnings, Chris Hart.
Too expensive.
My point,
Absolutely
exactly.
too expensive. Earnings underpin there, but you need to actually say it is a function of the global economy. Green shoots or not, it's certainly not something that you'd... I don't think there's sufficient growth off that earnings base to actually say that's justified.
Aren't there enough Ponzi, nouveau riche people who are prepared to overpay for a pen, a wallet, a leather briefcase,
not
or a fancy scarf?
Yeah, very much so. But as I say, they're already buying it. And that's why I wouldn't go for it.
So if it's not the Ponzi people buying all the...
No, the
Ponzi
product
stuff.
range you've got here with Richemont is completely wrong. It's jewelry and watches.
Yes, they're Mont Blanc pens.
Yeah.
Yes, but
Mont
it's
Blanc
a much
makes,
smaller
jewelry
Mont Blanc
and watches.
makes leather wallets. Steinhill makes lots of leather stuff.
And they now sell fancy Peter Miller shirts.
And jewelry and watches say its time is up.
It's time, the king of the pun. But quite seriously now, the jewelry, is it the watch business that you like?
It's the jewelry and watch business, which represent over 3/4 of all sales. So that's the much better margin stuff. You can't replicate quality. And this is what Johan Rupert, when he was there, he's away for a little while, always says, you can buy the cheaper product, but ultimately it's the consumer who knows. So these are essentially lifestyle choices by rich people, and as you mentioned, nouveau rich people. So people are moving into that segment, and there are more and more people.
Are there not lots of people who want to be seen to be moving into that segment? So they will go and pay the astronomical price of 2,500 rand for a ballpoint pen.
No, that is true, and I think that is perfectly correct. My suspicion, though, and it's a good company, it's just that it is too expensive right now.
Okay, so too expensive. So you then have to say those magic words, I shoot it down.
I shoot it down.
He shoots it down. You're shot down. again on Richemont. Nobody's ever going to accept Richemont.
Oh, when it's 120 Rand, they'll say the same thing.
Probably they will. They said it's at 50, at 60, at 80, and now it's about 90 Rand or thereabouts.
92.
There we go. Now, this may come as a shock to you, Sasha. Okay. But I'm beginning to feel that Chris Hart is trying to emulate one of the great gurus who's on another TV channel who constantly picks the same kind of stocks.
He's much cleverer than that guy.
And he's got a day job. Chris Hart, in 30 seconds, please. If you beat this Goldfields drum anymore, I'm going to get very, very tired.
No,
30 seconds.
Right, 30 seconds. Goldfields, basically, a new company in a sense that it has reinvented itself. It's become a rand hedge and a rand leverage stock. And I think that there is a bit of growth going on. But I think more importantly, this sector has been beaten down quite a bit in the last month. And in the last few days, we've certainly seen the shares start to respond to the gold price as well. And if there is a rebound, of any note, I think you will see some, the leverage side coming through from that.
I feel almost guilty putting you at Sasha's mercy on this one, but you did ask for it.
Yes.
How mad is he?
No, I think the underlying story of why Paulson et al. Bought into gold heavily was that there'd be inflation pressures. But what you saw essentially was a financial sector that delevered and now being asked to have higher capital requirements. So I think the bull case for gold in a hyperinflation environment didn't materialize. Now suddenly these green shoots that I'm talking about, and that's an old, but globally we're starting to see improvement. So holding gold as a hedge against disaster, that didn't work either.
Okay, you need to pause at this point because what Chris Hart is going to say now is we're on the cusp of this inflation that is being caused by the actions being taken by the US Fed.
Well, I think they're trapped. The US Fed is so green shoots because you've got an enormous amount of money. The fact that the green shoots haven't turned into a jungle should be a major worry. In the sense, just the sheer quantity of being, and that's the thing that people miss. It's not just that there's quantitative easing; it's quantitative easing with zero interest rates on a scale that's never been done in history, and we're only seeing green shoots, and that's the point. You can see a little bit more of it flourish, but I would have expected an overgrown jungle, just given what's been done. And to say because it hasn't happened means it won't, and it's not necessarily those particular things that you're looking for. You're looking for systemic, just as a systemic hedge.
It's a systemic hedge, but the trouble is you could have bought your systemic hedge at $2,000 an ounce. Your systemic hedge is now
1,900.
1,900. I'm rounding up.
That's
I gave you the
correct.
benefit of 500 billion rand on Richemont. You'll give me benefit of the doubt of $2,000
exactly.
for gold. Be nice.
Be nice. Sorry.
Yes. Now the thing is, I think people, they're very myopic. They look,
Yes.
they don't actually look at the concept.
Do we have an inflation problem brewing in the world?
I do believe so. Put it this way, it's either going to be inflation or deflation. The debt has become unpayable, and there's only two ways out. Either deflation, in other words, you default your way out, or you inflate your way out.
Is gold good in either scenario?
I believe so, yes.
Why is gold not good in either scenario?
Rather own an acre of land like Warren Buffett, somewhere with good farm. Come on, Chris, my turn.
Yes.
I'd rather own. I think the bull case for gold might not necessarily be gone. There's a whole different subset of investors who are attracted to it. Why I think it's a problem for Goldfields. They've done a lot of reorganization, but remember that nearly 2/3 of their asset base is actually still in South Africa in one specific asset.
Which is yet to produce any substantial amounts of gold at any decent price.
Well, it is, and that's starting, and it's much lower cost than their legacy assets, which they spun out. So credit must be given, I think, where
But
it's
that's
due.
financial engineering, and that's a restructuring.
But when in the asset management game, you're looking for companies to give you a return.
Say the magic words.
I've got to shoot this one down.
2 barrels.
Both
gunslingers.
yes.
Radovan Krejcir's got nothing on you. Well, the car that
Well, you've got a
blew his
car,
away. Absolutely right. Okay, Chris Hart, so you've been shot down, I'm afraid, on Goldfields. Not that was a shock to you, but you don't
No,
care.
I don't care. No.
You don't care because you remain committed to the Goldfields story. Sasha Naryshkine from Vestact. Again, you amaze me by your ability to pick stocks I really don't like very much. 30 seconds on Steinhoff.
Steinhoff, yeah. I mean, well, they've done a big reorganization. So essentially, Steinhoff owns the PSG stake and then controls Cap and JD. But the big one that I think everyone's missing is Conforama. So again, it's a European recovery story. They've managed to have that debt under control there. So if you're a believer like I am, that this time next year we'll be talking about positive growth in a European sense, then I think Conforama, which is a low-cost furniture reseller, will be well placed to leverage off a story which continues to get better. 2 seconds, over.
3. I was counting. Croissant, easy to shoot down, surely.
Well, my suspicion is that when it comes to Steinhoff, and you're hoping for a recovery.
The phone keeps ringing. I don't know who's trying to get hold of us.
Yes.
Terribly sorry. I wish I knew how to shut it down.
You know, the hoping for the recovery is also, you know, I think hoping for
Not
too
hoping,
much
it will
necessarily.
It will come. Just when?
You're
Sorry.
also looking at you know, quite a big, how to say, dependence on what I call the credit cycle in South Africa. Things like JD, you know, the furniture side. And this is a credit cycle that seems to have exhausted itself before interest rates have even been hiked. And so I suspect that in terms of the actual growth leverage and the growth push behind this, or the potential behind this, it may be a bit more feeble than what you know, what the actual hope is.
And I haven't spoken to David Sussman recently, but I recently saw Leon Kirkinis, who goes pale. You say Ellerins. It's like saying Mufasa from The Lion King. You say Ellerins, and he goes, oh, say it again.
Yes.
So it feels like somebody walks over his grave every time somebody says Ellerins. Ellerins is a different company. It's a different, they've tried to do different things with it. But furniture retail on credit is hard at the best of times. Europe may turn around and Europe may pick it up. Well, it may turn around and may pick it up in the not too distant future. However, the South African credit cycle is in trouble.
Yeah, but remember that you know, inside a Cap they got the Unitrans logistics business too. So you know, forget the JD side, which also they injected the Cap kind of vehicle assets in to JD. I think what's important to note is that this is all factored into the share price already. You know, it trades on one of the cheapest multiples and Constantly, and that's because I think there is a deal every 6 months.
So how does that make it a great investment then, if they keep doing deals that nobody really seems to understand or comprehend?
Well, because I think everyone's missed the Conforama thing here. Okay. I think essentially by being able to...
Is Conforama Steinhoff's 10 cent?
No, I don't think so. And remember also that there's essentially an NAV unlock through because they bought the properties also. So they could put the properties in another listed entity that Steinhoff would own a stake in.
You see, I mean, this is a guy who likes gold shares. He doesn't even like this. Chris Hart, tell me what you're going to do with this one.
I'll shoot this one down.
Okay, well, it's not even worth discussing. It'll be shot down.
That's fine.
One wonders whether Chris will regret that decision, because I've seen choice number 3, and boy. Okay, now let's have a look. If you thought that Goldfields was exciting, then you want to take a gamble on a share that is on a 12.5 multiple. It's got a market cap of just over 10 billion rand. Freddie Mercury played at Sun City, and many other artists played at Sun City. I think even Elton John went to Sun City. Certainly Mango Groove went there once or twice as well. Sun International, 30 seconds.
Well, at this stage, mainly gaming, its main revenues are from gaming, and I think that's quite defensive. It basically gets income from about 5 properties, but it's got, you know, 30 or whatever properties. Pretty much an African player, and I think that's where the embedded optionality in this company comes. In other words, the longer-term growth side, I think, may well come from its quite strong Pan-African holdings, and I think a greater spread, in other words, greater potential growth from income other than just gaming.
Okay, he took an extra 3 seconds, so you're square now. Sasha, do you like Sun International?
I'm going to say yes, because I don't know what the other one is.
I think you'll be sorry. Not.
Will I be? No, I mean, essentially, Chris says gambling is defensive. I think yes and no. So gambling could be seen as a defensive industry because it's probably as addictive as smoking. But that aside, I mean, they do have some great properties, and in terms of stronger earnings coming from the hotel segment and their ability to be able to, outside of South Africa, as Chris said, be able to be better operationally. So bring their South African experience to places like Nigeria and East Africa. Not to say that they don't do hotel management properly there, But I think there's a big quality boost in earnings down the line.
But with the gambling story is a big one. Because I was talking to an executive in the gambling sector the other day, not from Sun International, but from one of the other big casino operators that's listed. What's it called? Soho Sun. And just saying that in good times, lots more people gamble. In tough times, people who like to gamble still gamble. They will commit a certain proportion of their earnings to gambling. And it's not about going out to win, it's going
entertainment.
They're paying for a night's entertainment. And they know that the casinos have got the odds stacked against them, that they're probably going to lose their money, but occasionally they win a bit just to keep them coming back next time. It is the biggest sucker punch industry in the world. It's brilliant from that respect, Chris.
Yeah, no, very much so. And I think, you know, as I say, the hotel and gaming industry complement each other well. So even though a lot of the income might appear to come from gaming, often it's because you've got an accommodation leverage that you can throw.
I mean, the accommodation business and the food and beverage business is minuscule, but it enables them to put up their most valued guests and let them sleep for a night in a hotel for 2 hours so they can go back and gamble some more and all of that sort of
and
stuff.
so you can actually use that as a leverage to actually enhance your gambling income. And in a sense, it's got a very nice property in Chile as well.
But you talk about it as an Africa play. I look at it as a Latin America play because Chile has worked well. Okay, the place nearly fell apart in an earthquake the moment they opened it.
It's 13%. Their biggest, their most important property is Grand West Casino in terms of its, you know, as out in Cape Town. But my sense is that they've got an enormous number of other properties that I think can actually make a bigger contribution going forward. In other words, they've got the assets, they've got the operations, they've got the spread.
All you need is places like
Polokwane,
Port Elizabeth and bits on the Water, if they had one there, to actually those local economies to come right, and you will see the benefit.
Yeah, but it's also the Ghanaian and Nigerian and Tanzanian, Zambian, etc.
You have operations to stop speaking now. I'm being shouted at because of you, and I don't like to have to take the blame. What are you doing with this one?
I'm going to accept this
You're going to accept it. Okay, yes. Sun International gets the Sasha Naryshkine thumbs up. Goldfields, as I expected, got the big thumbs down. Chris Hart has got one more ace up his sleeve, or is it the Joker that we're anticipating? So we'll see what comes from Chris Hart from Investment Solutions in just a little while. Sasha Naryshkine with Richemont, fabulous company, fabulous products. Extra fabulous multiple, simply too expensive for Chris Hart, but then he would have said that at 60, 70 and 80 bucks as well, probably. Richemont's a little bit like famous brands. No, you wouldn't have reduced it. At 90 bucks, 90 bucks.
It still looks a bit rich at the moment,
a little bit rich at 90 bucks. Forgive me for putting words in his mouth. And then Steinhoff, Chris Hart didn't quite laugh at Sasha Naryshkine, but he says, okay, fine, you may have green shoots in Europe. Why they're not a forest yet? Because the world is still in economic trouble. He doesn't buy the Steinhoff turnaround story. The market doesn't seem to buy it either. It's trading on a multiple, single-digit multiple, as it does perpetually as well. Sasha, however, likes the stock. Chris Hart, however, has turned down 2 of his picks so far, which means Chris Hart is obliged to pick the third one, which has been in the news recently for not great reasons. So somebody's got to foot the light bill. We've got lots of lights, we've got lots of bodies to light as well. So we need to take a short break. We hope that you will be back with us after that break so that you can see who will be the Share Shootout champion and who will be sent into Share Shootout oblivion tonight.